Ladies of Reddit, how did a guy ruin their chances with you? First red flag was how antsy he was to get me on the phone. Was a friend of a friend on Facebook. So antsy I almost didn't call him. The deal breaker for me was something along the lines of "You're not like most women. You can actually understand the complex subjects I like to talk about. Most women are too vapid and dull to compete with my intellect." Click. Barf. Gentlemen, if you have to state you're above average in intellect, you aren't. He told me it'd look like I was 13, if not for the wrinkles. Managed to insult me for looking too young and too old at the same time. I'm 24, for reference. When I looked offended, he said, "Oh, don't worry, I like that you kinda look like you're 13. Went on a date with a guy, and every time I would ask about details of his job or education he would say things like, "Let me see how I can dumb it down for you," or "I'm sure you won't understand any of this." But I was so offended that when the check came I whipped my wallet out to pay for, or split the bill and just be done with it. When he said, "Oh no, I'm sure I make more than you do, don't worry." One time a guy got my number while I was at work because he said he was new to the area and we had interests in common. He immediately started texting me about how he knew I would be a great girlfriend, how he couldn't wait for me to meet his family. He knew that I walked to work because he had seen me, and one day he texted something like, "I can't believe you haven't been raped yet. Your dad must have really protected you." I had to very firmly tell him that I wasn't interested, and luckily he never tried to bother me at work or anything. I went out once with someone who brought a pair of glasses to our first date and asked if I would wear them the entirety of our relationship. He already knew I didn't wear glasses, so he had gone ahead and put in fake lenses for me. When I asked why, he said it was because he always imagined himself marrying someone who wore glasses. Also, he told me that he found those glasses on the floor at the movie theater. Lucky me. After actively avoiding contact with me for 3 months, he sent me a dick pic at what was 4 AM his time, Wednesday morning. When I reacted poorly to waking up to this, he called me repeatedly throughout the day until I picked up, at which point he told me that he loved me in the Tolkienian sense. When I told him to F***K off, he sent more dicks. I was friends with a guy from work that I kind of liked. After we hung out with some other friends, he walked me to my car. I had to leave to get home for curfew. He leaned on the car door and wouldn't let me leave and told me I was lying about having a curfew. I was really creeped out. He kept wanting me to kiss him while he basically wouldn't let me get in my car. I told him we shouldn't because if we weren't sure we are going to date, it would make our friendship weird. Later he told me I was right about not kissing because I wasn't emotionally mature enough to handle a relationship. Dodged a big bullet there. Met a guy at a wing restaurant after I got off work. The majority of the time we were there, he talked about his ex-wife. After he finished eating he asked if I wanted to get frozen custard or see a movie. I told him he'd rather watch a movie, dietary restrictions, and, since I didn't know the area well, I'd follow him to the theater in my own car. Instead of driving to the theater, he drove to the custard place. He didn't even mention the movie again. Just ordered himself a big custard. Tried negging me at the start of the date, then threw a tantrum when I refused to have sex with him. He actually said I owed him 6 because he paid for my movie ticket. Dude, I don't think you could get a hand job from a sex worker for the price of a movie ticket. He was a coworker of mine at a restaurant. He was about 10 years older than me, and I knew he was interested, but I wasn't sure. He seemed nice though, so I was thinking about it, but something seemed off. I ended up at a mutual friend's party a while later, and he was there. I wasn't drinking, and decided to leave early. He had been drinking, and decided to follow me through the dark to my car. He called my name as I got to my car, so I turned around, and he started demanding I give him a chance and go out with him. I apologized and said I didn't think it was a good idea, and he got upset. He started yelling, saying I had been a tease, and leading him on, and then just kept yelling, "Just go out with me. Just say yes," over and over as he grabbed my shoulders and slammed me into the side of my car. He held me there, pinned against my car, and kept screaming in my face. He was about 62. I'm 53. I started to cry and told him he was scaring me. He took a step back and I got into my car as fast as I could, locked the door, and got the F***K out of there. First date after meeting online, we went for coffee and he spent the majority of it telling me how we'll move to a big property and how we will raise our kids. Not oh this is what it like when I meet the right person, but specifically when we get married this will happen, and we'll try right away for a family, and once you have our first baby this will happen, etc. One guy showed up 40 minutes late, wouldn't get off his phone, only grunted at me instead of talking, and then called me a fat ugly whore American when I said I wasn't interested. Another guy stood me up the first time, then when he did show up, looked nothing like his picture. He was rude to the wait staff and kept talking to me about a show I'd said I'd never seen. He said he'd pay since he stood me up before, but then complained my waffle was expensive. It was $6 compared to his $10 enter. And then for the big finale, he tried to take me to Walmart. A boyfriend of a few days told me I should start gymnastics again. After telling him I used to, I asked why, and he responded with it'd help you lose weight. I was 110 pounds. He took me to McDonald's. That wasn't the problem, though. It was the way he acted like an ass to the cashier. He also stopped by his mom's apartment to have a loud argument with her and his sister, so that was awkward. Another one turned out to be a huge racist. And there was the guy I met at a bar who told me his plans to get rich by adding music to websites. When he said it would be my fault if he killed himself, then spammed me with photos of himself with a rope around his neck. He was sitting down on the couch and just had the rope draped around his neck. I told him that I wasn't responsible for any decisions he made for himself, and then blocked him. He thought that being witty requires making fun of every person in his life. He straight up said to me I'm just an alpha, you know? A lot of people can't handle that. Oh. He talked so much about himself I barely got any time to say anything, so it ended up with me just saying oh, yeah, cool, and him not asking a single question about me. That guy really just took himself out on a date. He was a friend of a friend. First thing he says when he meets me is I know this will make you uncomfortable, but you have the best F***king tits out there. This was before a hello or anything. Just straight to the point. I'm an older single lady, 46, telling me how you don't really like or wanted your kids and that your ex is crazy is really not helping your case. He was an acquaintance and I had known him for a year or so. Went on a date and he jokingly choked me and told me he had had like 16 girlfriend but had never dated anyone longer than 6 months. He told me if he wanted to, he could rape me. Then he asked me how I would respond. I said by calling the cops on him. He said that would ruin my life and scar me forever. Dude that was interested in me at one point was on again / off again with this other girl, and he kept trying to get me to have dinner with him / hang out / whatever under the guise that he was going to break up with her soon and she doesn't need to know. No. On our first date, he picked me up with his baby in the backseat and an open beer in the cup holder. By faking an Irish accent. This guy literally spoke on the phone for ages while faking an Irish accent. I met up with him at a gig and he spoke in an Irish accent the whole time. I genuinely believed he was Irish up until a friend of his told me he was putting it on the whole time. This was in England, but just why? He stood outside the window of my dorm room at 3 AM yelling and doing karate moves on the dumpster. So yeah, dude fought a dumpster for me. We were chatting and he seemed cool before saying I'm basically the real life version of BoJack Horseman. He then could not comprehend why that's not an attractive comparison, even after boasting he has seen the whole series 4 times. He made several racist comments about his co-workers. I called him out. He said he couldn't be racist because he's a feminist who loves women. Another complained about Vietnamese restaurants hiring Vietnamese people and how it ruined the atmosphere to hear them exist. He bit me. I was talking to him at a bar because his friend was with my friend and he seemed cute and nice, and then he started running his fingers through my hair and moving closer even when I backed away. I told him repeatedly to stop touching me and that it would turn me off if he kept coming on so strong. His friend noticed and also told him to back off. His response to all that was to bite me, and he was still confused when he tried to follow me home, and I told him he would not be spending the night with me. This guy totally lost me on a date in college when he started talking about being on the basketball team and his social influence plus the money he somehow made being on the team, how much girls loved him. He told me he was really strong and if he wanted to, could probably beat me to death pretty easily, but never would because he wouldn't hit a girl because he's a nice guy. He told me he was 250 plus years old and he was a werewolf. I laughed it off as I thought he couldn't be serious. He didn't think it was that funny. It was my first date. I was 17. He was 18 over 19 just out of high school. We met at a movie in the afternoon. We said hi. He paid for the movie. We sit down with a drink. As soon as the movie starts he moves really close, his arm around me, then proceeds to grope my breast on the outside of my shirt. Like, WTF. Then I tell him to stop. He does. For 5 seconds. This pattern continues for several minutes. Then he tries to reach into my shirt. I grab his hand and again say stop. Then I got up and left. My biggest regret is not smacking him in the face before I left. My friend who set us up asked me how the date went. When I told her what he did she acted like I was taking things out of context. I never spoke to her after that. Edit first I didn't expect to gain traction at all. My story is sadly not unique. Thank you all for the hilarious comments and the upvotes. For more elaboration on the friend, she said I took an accidental boob graze out of context. Like I somehow thought him reaching across to get something was him trying to grab me. I explained that no, he did grab me. His hand was squeezing my breasts and he was trying to get into my shirt and I told him to stop. She just couldn't or wouldn't believe it. She insisted he was a great guy who had never done that and would never, and she never heard of him doing it. It's been 12 years since this conversation happened, so I don't remember her exact words. Ghosting me and then turning up again weeks later to see if I was still interested when he was clearly just using that time to follow up with someone he liked more than me, but then he got dumped. I don't think every relationship requires an explicit breakup. If we've only been out a few times and you're not interested, not getting back to me gets the message across loud and clear. But keep in mind, doing it that way can burn the bridge. I was chatting with this guy I had on my Snapchat. I hadn't really given him a chance as I wasn't like attractive to him. Once I started to talk to him more and more I decided that I'd take his offer to go on a date. He was always such a gentleman and so sweet I figured we'd have a fun night. So later that evening I go to open my Snapchat and there it is. A ref ***king dick pic. So I text back hey I'm going to have to cancel our date. I've told him so many times that it's such a disappointment when you find a great guy and make a date with them and then shove their penis in your face. Like they ask you on a date and you accept and they automatically think yeah they wanna see my dick. I haven't talked to him since. Edit. Whoa I've never had this many upvotes before. Thank you and sorry to all the other people who have received unsolicited dick pics. Very nice and seemingly normal, if not slightly awkward guy decided to give me a t-shirt with his face on it after the first date. First date, he said he wanted to know if he could fit all the way inside of me. Out of the blue, we weren't talking about anything sexual before he had made that comment. Really? Jesus Christ. Staring at me in a very creepy way and making little kissy face at me while staring. Also, calling my breasts the twins. I get it that some women dig that, but it makes me super uncomfortable. Told him multiple times please don't stare or name my body parts but it never changed, so I gave up and walked away. He was very controlling and had to be right about ***everything**, even if he was legitimately misinformed. I think he just liked to hear himself talk as you could hardly ever get a word into a conversation with him. He would also try to fluff himself up by making fun of others, including his own friends. Overall, just came off as being very arrogant. There's a clear difference between being intelligent/confident or being an arrogant asshole. This very handsome, very charming guy was coming into the small town bar, super nice restaurant, and a great classy place to drink after dinner service I worked at in college, specifically to see me and keep me company on slow nights. He seemed really sweet, albeit a little sad, since he was going through a divorce. Come to find out he's frequenting plenty of young attractive females' places of employment around town. Fine, whatever, he's still fun to flirt with during boring shifts. Until he regularly starts getting super wasted, getting super verbally aggressive, and asking what time I get off work, usually 3 or 4 AM in an empty quiet town, so that he can be waiting for me outside after my shift. Thank God the guy I worked with lived across the street and offered to come walk me to my car. An actual angel. Whenever I close the bar by myself. Satyr men, women almost never want you to wait for them outside their late night place of employment unless they trust you and ask you to. Told me that if we became a couple, this was on the first date, that he expected sex whenever he wanted. I explained that I wasn't about to do that and was countered with, well, if I'm your boyfriend I deserve it. Nope the F *** K out of that. Happy to say I'm now married to a wonderful person, Hoss, not a creep. *@ a party whilst dancing with friends. Him, hey gorgeous, what are you drinking tonight? Me, cranberry juice and vodka. Him, so you must be on your period. Cranberry juice is good for that. Took me back to his place, where he hadn't taken the trash out for weeks, so the whole place smelled like actual garbage. I got out of there as fast as possible and still associate the strong smell of garbage with him, 12 years later. Most recently, not asking a single question about me. I'm not going to keep talking about you, dude. We were talking about school and money, and I said there was an issue with my degree works and now my financial aid was on hold. He said something like, then just pay out of pocket. I was like, please. If I had the money. He then gets angry and says, you're such a miserable B****** ch, like okay. And then he wondered why I stopped talking to him, because he somehow forgot that he called me a B***** ch. He was cute, offered to buy me a drink. I tell him MDD, so I'll have a Shirley Temple. He repeatedly insists that I get something with alcohol instead. He actually gets angry when I say I really can't. He then comes right out and says that girls are easier when they are drunk and calls me a B***** ch. A man outside of a bar approached me while I was on smoke break and said, do you watch anime? Me, yeah sure I watch some anime. Him, oh do you now? Why do you expect me to believe that? Me, and I started walking away. Him, no come back, I was just trying to hit on you. Wait, please. Then I put out my half cig and ran inside. I know this sounds cliché as heck, which made it even worse. LPT, if you're going to flirt, don't be aggressive, cliché, desperate, or for F****** KS sake, all of those things. He genuinely thought that a penis could stretch out a vagina permanently and slut shamed me over and over for not being a virgin when we met. Never mind the fact that he had twice the number of partners it had that he told me about, but that's different because a penis doesn't become less pleasurable with every partner, just more experienced. Gag. This was in early high school. Mom had a rule about no boys in the house when she's not home. Understandable. My boyfriend of a couple days asked if he could come over, and I said not tonight due to having rehearsal that night, which I did, and the fact that I couldn't have him over beforehand. He ignored what I said, and he took a bus to my house anyway. I made him stand out in the rain. Mom of course called as soon as he showed up and demanded to speak to me, but she was proud of what I did and how I tried to follow the rules. I had one guy bite me on the first date. No way I was having a second with a non-consensual vampire. He got angry when I wouldn't wait for him to open the door for me, like, literally sneered and sighed and muttered to himself, if you are walking ahead of me, or it's a smooth movement, sure, please open the door. But I'm not going to stand in front of the door and wait for you to catch up and open it. That's ridiculous. The first person to the door should open it for the other person. That's common courtesy. Make sure to like and subscribe for more daily content. Thanks for watching.